door similar to what you have Kim have, so that you can at least close that door, leave the top open. If someone comes in, you know, they would have to jiggle the door or something like that, and you'd be able to hit them. Grace, you could speak a little bit more on this if you
Well,
want.
it's a payment window, just like, you know, this way, there's a block situation where anyone making a payment stands at the door, they have a shelf to write their check. If they need privacy and they want to come in, Sharon could then allow them to come in, but I don't, my concern is that they're just walking up on her from behind her while her back's to the door, and, you know, a lot of people pay taxes with cash, and it's a concern. So I think that going forward, you should consider doing something with that door, similar to what Kim has, or however you want to do. I don't know if the guys made that door, or how you did it.
Did we have to buy that, or did we?
Yes, it's $900.
Well, you know, if you can't do it this week, maybe you could do it next year, but you should consider it. Because it is an office that collects more money than any other office, so.
Is that an expense we can take from capital, if we have money in capital?
If I had known it was that expensive, I didn't know it was that expensive, I would have incorporated it into the previous ordinance.
Let me talk to the guys, I mean,
I mean, maybe they can make
can
one.
we just saw off in half?
Did you see a picture
I
right
could
there
do
that
it.
had to get fixed from being hung up?
I could do it.
I mean, aren't we talking a significant amount of money in cash for taxes versus,
Oh, yeah,
you know, marriage license and dog license and things like that?
oh, yeah. And don't forget, sewer's collected there as well, escrow fees, I mean, there's a lot of money going through that office, and I think it should be more secure than it is. And I'm sure your future CFO will feel the same way.
So what do we need? What do we
You
need
could
to
have
do to
included
make it
it.
happen?
Well,
I don't know, we have to.
Can we do that?
because maybe it's the simple thing to do. Could do it that way.
Can we do it that way, Peter, amend that ordinance before we?
Sure. Sure, you want to reintroduce the filing cabinet ordinance? Where is it?
Yes, please.
2011-14.
So to
Purchase
amend
cabinets and
the
security
total
door.
appropriation by how much more?
I would go to 5,000. If Kim's saying it's 900, we're already at 3,750. Make it 5,000. We can always cancel the balance.
5,000, which is an additional $1,250.
Right.
And amend the ordinance for the purchase of fireproof file cabinets and
Security door.
a split security door.
Dutch door?
Yeah.
Exactly what it is.
Split,
Exactly what it is.
split Dutch, well, I'll let the clerk figure out the appropriate.
I didn't like it when I wanted it in, but she likes it now.
He loves her door.
So then we'll put that one down here, purchase of split Dutch door, or security, I like the word
I like
security door.
security door.
Sounds a little more official.
But the description is really
Yeah.
Mr. Ed.
Parentheses, Dutch.
Mr. Outdoor. Mr. Outdoor.
So do we need to do anything? Do we need to-
Yeah, we need a motion to reintroduce the ordinance, it's people the same name, with the changes
I'll
made.
make that motion.
I'll second.
Miliani? Yes. Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Berniak?
Yes.
Seago?
Yes.
The clerk will circulate a corrected copy.
Yes.
Do you have anything else?
No, that's it, thank you.
Okay. Okay, Peter.
Just a couple of things, we covered some of the stuff I had. You will recall that at the last meeting, you referred to Stuart Koenig, an issue regarding a requested refund from a local business of the COA fee that that business had paid. Yeah. When I first got this from Stuart, it was marked privileged and confidential attorney-client communication. I called Stuart and said, well, do you have any objection? Is there anything here that's really privileged and confidential? Because, you know, if we're going to act on it, we need to have this as our basis. And he said, yes, that was just something that got put in automatically, so he has no objection to it being made public unless you have some, you know, question that has to be asked in executive session. It could be acted upon tonight. And as you know, there's a partial refund recommended by Stuart in this matter.
So
So-
where do those funds would come from? COA? Okay. Yeah, I read the document. I mean, I think we
Comes
should
out of-
act on it.
Comes out of the COA fund that we have.
I mean, it's certainly from
This is a pretty
Stewart's
straightforward to me
recommendation.
from what he
Yeah.
says.
We need to refund that.
He's the only one I know that understands this stuff, but,
Do you
It was a
agree?
very
Do you
thorough,
agree, Elaine? That's your area.
Well, so the question, the only thing that I have to say is that it's a good thing that we caught it before so that Stewart could look at it. I want to know how it was, how it got as far as it did without Stewart even having seen it. That was my big thing. How did it get as far as it did without Stewart having seen it?
How
to
far did it
even-
get?
It got as far as almost being paid.
No.
It was all written up to be paid.
The co-reimbursement.
And I said, get this to Stewart. You can't pay this without Stewart's blessing.
There's an incredible, I would call it an irony. I received a call from the owner of this property today about this issue, which I pretty much pleaded ignorance to, which is the case. The timing of this is very, very good.
So, I mean, seriously,
Yep, no, perfect.
it came to me being in charge of COA, and I said, did Stewart authorize this?
yeah, I mean, the only thing I
Without
have.
Stewart authorizing it, I don't pay anything.
The only thing I have in my file is an email from Kim with this claim form from the property owner claiming this refund, and from, maybe it came by Eloise, I'm not sure. And then Elaine, you jumped on it immediately and said, hey, shouldn't Stewart see this?
Yeah.
And then it
Was
was
it already
referred.
being processed to be paid? If there was a voucher?
There was a whole workup on how much the amounts were.
No, I know, I saw that. I saw that
It
because.
was, there was an
because we-
approval from Eloise,
Okay, but it wasn't in the
No, but I
vouchering
got-
process.
but I got
Okay.
this is going to be processed.
Yeah.
It was approved, and
Yeah.
I went, no, not before Stewart sees it.
I can tell you one thing, I wouldn't have written the resolution without checking with Stewart
Agreed,
anyway. so,
agreed,
yeah.
but, it was in for the meeting.
At any rate, I asked Stewart to send me another copy of his memo without the
I
confidential
haven't seen
stamp
it
on
because I
it.
haven't been on email since
Yeah.
Saturday.
Okay.
Your packet,
Do you
you brought it today, so
do you want me to summarize it, or do you want to? He basically determined that of the $42,685 that had been paid, that the business is entitled to a refund in the amount of $8,531.30.
Well, I would say it's a good thing Mr. Koenig had a chance to review.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Basically because of the ever-changing laws.
Well, I was
The
gonna say, it's
COA.
changed about
Nobody
10
understands
times.
them. If we don't allow the experts to take a look at, not even the state understands them. That's why we have him as an expert.
So if you want to act on it tonight, you could simply adopt a resolution saying, whereas,
I mean,
I
read
would
it.
say,
I read
knock
it
yourself,
because,
let's make it happen.
Whereas
Send me
the-
the $8,000.
whereas the Township Committee has received a memorandum dated October 26th from Stuart R. Koenig, Special Counsel for COA matters with regard to the matter of the Wayne Vince DBA Phillipsburg Easton Honda non-residential fee refund claim, and whereas in the amount of $42,685, and whereas Mr. Koenig, Attorney Koenig has determined, based upon the facts and law discussed in his memorandum, that the property owner is entitled to a refund in the amount of $8,531.30. Now therefore be it resolved by the Township Committee of the Township of Greenwich, Warren County, New Jersey, that a refund, a COA refund, shall be issued to Wayne Vince DBA Phillipsburg Easton Honda on his non-residential fee refund claim in the amount of $8,531.30 in accordance with the recommendations of the Township's Special Counsel, Stuart R. Koenig.
Make that motion.
Second. Joe got it.
Miliani? Yes. Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Erniak?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yeah.
And then one other thing, this falls into the Department of Haste Makes Waste. We adopted the no stopping or standing ordinance at the special meeting. Subsequent to that, yesterday I received a call via Mike's office, I guess, which may have, did that originate with the chief or your
Well,
office?
no, it originated based upon us sitting down with the ordinance and actually marking out the locations of the signs to get to John Howe for him to order the signs.
Okay,
And then all of a sudden, me saying this can't be right, called Bruce, called Rich, and then called you.
okay. So as a result of those phone calls and that determination, I have made an amendment to the ordinance, which we will have to introduce as a new ordinance, an ordinance amending the previous ordinance. And the only change you will see there is in, under Daniel Drive, south side, where instead of saying entire length, it now says from Wyndham Farm Boulevard to Fanning Mill Road. And Mike, you know, if you have any other questions, Mike can explain why that is, but,
So we're not gonna go down Daniel Drive?
No,
Oh, yeah.
the current
Can
ordinance.
you show on the
Sure,
sign
absolutely.
where the signs are gonna be?
Well, actually, I have a map, I can even, that's even maybe even better. Which I was gonna get.
Well, while you're doing that, can I ask you a question, Peter?
sure.
If a resident does not want a sign in front of their home, do they have the right to appeal that?
Not if it's within the right of way of the road. They can, you know, ask the township to move it a little bit, but it's the township's right to put whatever signage is necessary within its right of way.
Let me hold it and you can point?
Yeah, this is just a copy of the tax map, and there are 3 different signs that have to be purchased and installed. They're all no stopping or standing, but they have different arrows, and they all show the time, 7 a.m. to 9 a.m., 2 to 4. So these 3 colors are for the different types of signs. And again, this is just to get to John. There's a copy actually for Kim as well, and for the township. This is the section that, you know, both Wyndham Farm Boulevard North, Wyndham Farm Boulevard South, and Dory Place. If you take the literal interpretation of the ordinance as it exists now, without the amendment,
Why don't you just show where the signs are gonna be with the ordinance?
Well, I think,
well,
I
no,
don't
I need to
think,
explain why we're doing the ordinance, because
I
I
don't
think
think
that's
we,
the whole.
yeah, I don't think we need to know where the sign is.
I think you would bore people to tears.
Just
The,
the,
the ordinance as it exists right now would actually restrict parking along all of Daniel Drive on the south side. So that would mean, the little section here between Fanning Mill and Wyndham Farm Boulevard, but more importantly, and this is what clued me into something this couldn't be right, was the entire length of Daniel Drive, all the way back to the cul-de-sac. And I said, no, they can't mean that. Lo and behold, that's not what was meant. So the new ordinance is just establishing restrictions on the south side of Daniel Drive, just between this little section here, Fanning Mill and Wyndham Farm Boulevard. So there will be no restrictions here, because the bottom line is, the chief did not want to establish parking restrictions on both sides of the same road. There would always be, you know,
Right.
so that's all it is.
all right.
Very,
So,
really actually very simple.
at any rate, that is the change, that's the only change that I've made in the ordinance, but I think for sake of clarity, we're probably gonna have to print most of the former draft with the change showing on here, so that somebody can look at it and tell what got changed. So if it's all right, I'll read it by title only. An ordinance amending an ordinance of the Township of Greenwich, County of Lawrence, State of New Jersey, supplementing and amending Chapter 7, Section 7-3.5 of the Code of the Township of Greenwich, prohibiting stopping or standing during certain hours on certain portions of Wyndham Farm Boulevard Daniel Drive and Dory Place. And as I said, the only change is Daniel Drive, we struck out entire length and we put in from Wyndham Farm Boulevard to Fanning Mill Road.
That's on the
And,
south side.
yes, on the south side.
I'll make that motion.
It's number 15.
Second.
Miliani? Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Berniak?
Yes.
Siegel?
Yes.
And if the clerk gets that advertised right away, we can have a public hearing
I'll send
on
it
the
tomorrow.
10th. And then when we send them down to Trenton, we'll send them both down together so they'll know, you know, what's what when they get them both. I have
Anything
to
else,
fill in
Peter?
the date there. No, I think that covers everything that I have.
Mike?
Okay. I have a couple things and actually some good news. Okay, first of all, my apologies for getting my report out. It was later than it's been, for a long time. Okay. First is item number 4, which is the SRTS. And that is still, again, the project that is still not closed out officially for the 3 sections of sidewalk we built, North Main, Willow Grove, Greenwich. There were those outstanding ADA issues that we got notified by the DOT on. It became apparent, I shouldn't say it became apparent, I felt it was in the township's best interest to get the contractor back, because it could just be a change order to the contract versus going through any bidding process. We finally got him out. He was actually out on Tuesday. It was part of the reason I held up on the report, because I wanted to include that in the report. The bottom line is, if you go to page 6 of my report, the last 2 bullets kind of summarize where we're at. He's willing to do the work that needs to be done. He's going to get us a price, and we need it to be done because we need to close out the project to get the reimbursement back from the state. So I think the new CFO is going to have to sift through this one and figure it all out, but because I'm sure it will be after Grace's departure, unfortunately. So the good news there is that we're close finally to actually getting this thing all wrapped up, closed out, and done. And I will obviously update the committee as we proceed. Okay. Item number 7 in my report. There was a memo actually that Kim just sent, that I just got Tuesday, I believe, which was a new grant program through Green Acres for a rec trail. If you remember, we submitted an application back in 2009 for a passive recreational trail around the D'Angelo property, because it's specific to Green Acres properties. We were not awarded the grant. I've since communicated this with Dawn Marie. She wanted me to bring it up tonight. The applications are not due until February 15th, but we have an application almost, well, it's done. We'll have to obviously tweak some things and so forth, but no action tonight. I would encourage you to consider making the application. Obviously, somebody should coordinate with the Open Space Committee to make sure that everybody's on board with this, but that program does exist, and thanks to Kim for sending me the information. And I'll keep it on my report so we don't forget about it. Okay. And maybe you did this at the special meeting, which I was not at. Harold Road speed limit, did you have second reading?
Yes.
Okay, so it's done, fine.
And along those lines, we
Wait a minute,
the location and number of signs for that.
Okay.
Harlem Road, did we have
We
this?
adopted that one.
You might have done it at the special meeting, which I was not here for.
No.
I heard a lot
The
of,
meeting before that.
Did we
No,
have the
it's
second,
only first
we had
reading.
the second reading?
Did we have the second reading? I don't recall.
no, we had the first reading last month. That's why in my report, it's item
Really?
12, last bullet says, it is my understanding the second reading is scheduled for October 27th, i.e.
I
tonight.
remember the first reading, I don't know.
Well, the first reading was last month, but you had the special meeting, which I know you did some things that I didn't know about, and maybe you didn't do it.
Published?
I gotta go back and look at this. I think we already did this. I gotta go back and look.
Did you do second reading?
I gotta go back and look at this.
We couldn't have done the second if we did the first at the last meeting, because our last meeting was
We didn't adopt this ordinance at the
September.
October 6th meeting. The Harold and Speed with that. No, we did first reading, I don't remember second. Was it one of them?
Just do it at the 10th.
Yeah, I'll have to see if it's been advertised.
October 6th. This is,
It's
we
not
did-
not
we
a
did the
super
Win-
urgent
we did the
thing.
Windmill Farm Boulevard.
Yeah. All right, call me about that tomorrow.
Well, I'll send it for November 10th. The
Yeah.
other one.
Okay.
Good. If it hasn't been adopted, then.
Yeah, that's right, I did see it in your report.
Yeah. Well, I know people don't want to read everything, but that's why I shade those little sections, that's kind of like the highlights. As per direction from committees of yesteryear, I mean, that goes back a long way back.
I know.
Okay.
Greg Blaster request?
Was it? I forget.
Yes, it was.
Was
I
it Greg?
remember when you did it.
Okay. So, all right, Kim, Peter, you'll work, okay, okay, very good. The DOT grant applications were submitted on time back, September 23rd, I think the due date was. Again, it's for Washington Street and Stewartsville Road and Dumont. So it typically, notices come out, quite a few months after the applications are submitted, so we might not hear until the beginning of the year. Okay, FEMA. Gary, where'd Gary go?
I'm hiding.
Oh, there you are. Okay. As you know, we've made application to FEMA for assistance. There was a kickoff meeting that occurred here at the Municipal Building on October 14th. Gary was here, John Houck came in, but actually Bill Bldg from my office was really kind of handling the FEMA stuff for us. He was here for longer, I just made a token appearance. But that's proceeding, there will be FEMA reps. We're in the process of acquiring and assembling and putting together all the data, backup information needed, etc. for the reimbursement through FEMA. They've just declared Tropical Storm Lee a disaster as well, so now we have Irene and we have Lee that we can get funding through potentially. And one, just so everybody knows, because this is kind of important, the way FEMA funding works, and I guess thankfully we haven't had to deal with this ever, because you don't really want to be in a position to look for FEMA funding too often, obviously, because then something bad has happened. It's 75-25, so if they give us $1 million to fix roads, hypothetically, which is not going to be the case here, we got to come up with $250,000. But of that quarter, of that 25%, there are credits given for volunteer hours, overtime DPW hours, equipment hours, engineering services, etc. So there is a lot of credits that the town can utilize against their match of 25%. So we haven't even come up with a final number. We, Gary and John, and I guess our office will be doing that. Gary, you want to add anything since you're here?
Yeah.
I mean, you're
Based
the
on,
big piece.
You gotta come.
Based on the amount of damage that we had, I spoke with John. Basically, everything's gonna be covered. We're gonna easily cover that other 25%. And the number of volunteer hours just from the fire company alone, all the pump details and stuff that they did. As Mike said, there was a declaration done for Lee. However, it is for public assistance only, not for individual homeowners assistance. So it's just for us to try and recoup, which I've already talked with John. Basically, everything that we had happened during Irene. So there doesn't look like there's gonna be anything additional for Lee. Just by any chance, that pump house damage you guys are talking about, that one
No,
from the storm, right?
that's just wear and tear. No, no.
Doesn't hurt to try.
Yeah, and a good
Yeah.
thought, but no, that you could never, no.
For the most part, like I said, the only big project it looks like we're gonna have is the Ravine Road repair. Everything else was already addressed, so we'll be able to submit that for reimbursement. And then project list for Ravine Road, which still isn't even gonna be not gonna be that bad. So, I gotta get together with
None of
Bill
the
and
other
find out
roads
what
falling
we're.
apart were affected at all?
Excuse me?
None of the other roads that are falling apart were affected at all?
No, you can, there's some sinkhole repair that we can probably get some money for, and that's even a little bit of a stretch, to be honest, but it's.
Yeah, they were real stringent about, it had to affect the township infrastructure
Yeah.
in order for it to cover a
We had no
sinkhole.
problems with any of the retention basins at all, huh? I mean, just to be on the safe side, we've had them all checked.
No,
Okay.
I mean, if a detention basin fails or whatever, you know about it,
Okay.
and thank you.
Just, just double check,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah, but so far we're in good shape.
okay.
I have a question about Ravine Road. Has there been any thought, or is there any way that an emergency road can be put somewhere back there so that we can get access to the residents that live back there? Because talking to Joe and to yourself, during that last storm, people were stuck down there. We couldn't get to them. There was wires down. I understand that you had to actually go through one of the cornfields to get to them or something. Is there something that we've looked at to think about, to maybe, so if this happens in the future, we have a way to get to those residents?
Actually, that was one of the reasons I requested to put in a, I forget what it's called right now.
Hazard mitigation.
Part of the, yeah, hazard mitigation, but other than that, for the recognition of volunteers that I went on Wednesday for the governor, I put down for Mr. Ed Ween on Ravine Road because he did that for us. He supplied a road to the lower two houses by taking his excavation equipment and plowing down a bunch of trees, bushes and whatnot to allow us to have access to them.
So Gary, you did get to go, that you went to that?
Yeah, we just have to figure out, I'm not sure if Joe knows how to get back through to that cornfield to eventually access that road. if we
Off
need-
Fran Lane.
Off of Fran Lane.
Fran Lane.
But it's a lot of following this edge of this cornfield and making a right at this oak tree and a left at the maple tree and that sort of thing to get to it, but that's what he had done, but,
These little red reflectors on this.
yeah, exactly. But that's what he had done, so I put him in for a volunteer recognition for that.
Very nice.
And it was a big help, plus he took care of Mr. Richards that was down there as well. The other guy, he's a vacation home, so. But with regards to that, we had requested in our all hazard mitigation is to somehow put all the utilities underground. If that grant process were ever to come through, that we can get funding for that we could do that. Other than that, it would be eliminating all the trees, which I don't believe the residents would want that. The few that are down there. That's the way we will eliminate that.
What was that gentleman's name?
Which one?
The one that you
Ed-
were talking
Ed
about?
Ed Wing. Ed Wing and family, actually.
He's
Is,
he's the blasting contractor?
Yeah,
Yeah, how do you spell his last name?
W-E-A-N.
He could do, oh yeah, he could. Yes, he could.
Thanks.
All right.
Thank you, Gary.
Good, thank you.
So, yeah, there's just to close that up, from the date of the kickoff meeting, at this point, there's a 60-day window till FEMA comes out again, meets with us, and actually approves our requests. So this won't get closed out until probably mid-December, but it's in the works. It's all good. And we did submit another enrollment form for the township for Lee, just in case. So we're in the queue. All right, two other things just quick updates. Number one, I received a letter 6 months ago, but then I received a call today from an engineer who's working for the gas company. And just so you know, I'm just planting a seed, nothing for us to worry about now. But next year, the gas company, Elizabethtown Gas, is moving forward with a large-scale gas main replacement from the Beagle Club all the way to their facility in Franklin Township, and we're in the middle. So they will be coming, I explained what I thought they should do. They're gonna be sending letters to the committee, they're gonna be looking for information, they're gonna require street opening permits, they're gonna be dealing with a lot of personal homeowners as far as where easements exist through private properties, a number of which are in Kennedy Mills, which I found out.
Greenfields, no? Right behind.
Some, yes,
Right
yeah.
behind it.
Exactly.
And
So,
Greenfields, 'cause
so
I
again,
think-
not just FYI, just keep in mind that that's on the horizon, that there'll be this big project coming up. They're also gonna be looking, the township, for, some areas to store some equipment, and so forth. So, that's that. The speeding on South Main Street and the rumble strips. I got the locations, the way we left it from last month is that we contact the county and get locations for us to go look at. I've also talked to the county engineer directly about this. He made a point again that the noise is absolutely a concern. He's like, Mike, just be careful with this. He's like, the people really, as much as they want to slow cars down, they hate the noise worse because it applies to every vehicle that passes. Just the passing comment. Okay, here are the locations, and none of which are close. So, Cat Swamp Road in Alamucci, which is close to Route 80. Excuse me, Route 80. Well, it is close to Route 80, but it's actually on the way to Route 517, which goes to 80. Decatur Street in Knowlton Township, and I don't know Decatur Street, and Delaware Road in Knowlton Township. So Knowlton has two. So maybe what you might want to do, because he would love to hear from us.
Yeah.
Call Frank. I should have thought of that. Why did I just think of that now? Yeah, call Mayor Van Horn, and he will give you a lowdown.
He will
He'll come here and give a presentation on it.
What's the last one? He will just guide us.
Yeah, exactly.
Can you email us the location?
What's the
Sure.
last one?
Delaware Road in Knowlton
Okay.
Township. So Knowlton has two, so Frank
We'll just,
yeah,
throw out the.
did they break the mold with him, or did they
Yes,
break the mold with him?
they did.
Okay.
He performed Kim's wedding. Remember that? Absolutely.
Oh,
Yes, I do
yeah.
remember it.
Oh, I
Oh,
was there.
yeah. Yes, you were there.
I was. He's whatever. He's a
character.
Okay. And I think that, yeah, I think that's it. That's it for me.
Number two.
Okay, that's all, Mike?
That is it. Thank you.
Okay. Need a motion to open for public comment?
Make the motion.
Make a motion?
Yeah, Joe second, Lane made the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, anyone wishing to make public comment, please come up and state your name and address, please.
Charles Flanagan, 103 Bradford Lane. Excuse me. In regard to the gas situation, I have a gas easement through my property, and I was notified about 4 months ago that they were going to replace an 8-inch line.
Right.
Is that approved by the town? Do they go through the town? I would imagine so you guys know about that one, right?
That's exactly the project
They
I'm
told me
talking
that
about.
it was supposed to be done already, and
No.
they were gonna be doing it now.
Well, if that's what they told you, Charlie, then they were, I think, optimistic. They absolutely will not be in a position to do any of this work until next year. I don't know if that's spring or summer or whatever, but it'll definitely be next year.
Right. But they do get approval. I imagine,
Well-
from a safety standpoint. I mean, I would think somebody would watch what the heck they're doing or whatever, so they don't blow the place up.
The approval, the only approval that I believe that they are required to secure, Peter, chime in with me here after is they're gonna be for their crossings and their work within the municipal rights of way and the streets and so forth, they're gonna have to, They're gonna have to secure street opening permits.
Did they not just?
So there'll be some level of inspection and some oversight by our office, and that's more or less the restoration of the road.
Mhm.
But other than that, I don't think there's no mechanism. That's internal policing. I mean, they're the ones that know more about gas than we do. Right, Peter? There's no.
Well, yeah, I don't think this is under FERC, is it?
Under what?
Federal Energy Regulatory
Oh,
Commission?
not,
I don't think so.
I don't,
So,
I don't. no.
whatever permits are required.
Well, it must be because it's a transit.
Yeah, I don't know if they go through FERC or whether they just go through the BPU. This is not, I don't think this is like a major gas transmission line, is it? Isn't it more a
Sure it is.
distribution line?
No,
Yeah.
it's their regional distribution line. It's
It's a
Canadian's
major.
gas line is a big whomping gas line for gas.
Yeah, but it's not like the ones they're putting through Union Township, those are like.
Oh, you're talking like the Transco ones?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
oh, no. This is just a regional, like southwestern Warren County.
Yeah,
Not those, which is taking gas from Texas to
yeah.
New York, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. So I don't know whether FERC has any jurisdiction
Yeah.
or whether it's just a BPU or what.
Okay, I'm sorry, Charlie.
Okay, just one other, well, two others. Under Township Engineer, has Municipal Roadway Evaluation Improvement Assessment. That's been going on for quite some time. Are we proceeding? Are we doing anything for our buck?
What are you referring to?
Number
In
8,
Mike's report?
Item number 8.
under your agenda.
We have not paid the bucks for that. Mike has suggested to us that we employ Finelli Consulting to, look at and to come up with a maintenance plan for the roads, which is,
So you haven't even done an evaluation yet?
well, yes, we have done evaluation. We've been around with the road crew who knows the roads probably better than anybody. And believe me, I think Mike's firm would do a fantastic job, but frankly, I'd rather spend $5,000 fixing the roads than having Mike tell us what to fix. So
Well,
that's where
I
we
mean, I
are.
don't know, but what I'm saying is anything gonna be done with the roads?
There's money
Because the
budgeted.
longer you wait, the more it's going to cost us.
Well, first of all, we did stuff last year, we've done stuff this year, and we're continuing to do stuff this year, and we budgeted money to do things this year. I think that they now have to do Ravine Road.
Well, like I mentioned to you before, Ruth, Bradford Lane, where I live, it's full of cracks. It's never been touched in 10 years, and it's only gonna get worse. This winter, it's gonna get full
I don't
of water, it's gonna freeze, and it's gonna start breaking up.
I don't disagree with you, Charlie. The only thing is that in the conversations, there are probably places in town that are worse than Bradford Lane.
That doesn't make me feel any better.
Well, it doesn't make me feel good either, but that's,
Okay. The other thing I wanted to ask about, quite some time it was discussed about abandoned properties. And I thought there was going to be some kind of a proposal or some way to deal with abandoned properties. Since we have an ordinance in town that grass isn't supposed to be higher than 6 inches, I don't know who enforces that. I would think when the ordinance was put through, it was discussed how it was going to be enforced, but it doesn't seem to be enforced at all. I don't know if it would be a good idea for the police department when they ride around or whatever, when they see grass starting to get to be 3 or 4 feet, to mention it to somebody.
Well, we do have an ordinance that governs grass, and I believe.
Yeah, there is an ordinance,
enforced-
but there's no way of enforcing it.
Well, I think the clerk has been writing, some time ago, I gave the clerk a form letter that could be filled in and served upon property owners who have let their
Kim's actually
property
been doing a
go.
pretty good job once
Are
she
you
hears
talking
about
about
it.
your neighbor? The abandoned
Yeah, the
house?
same old thing.
Yeah,
That hasn't been touched in
There's been- yeah.
over 2 months, I
There's
think.
been no response from the bank.
But what I would suggest is that if the township goes in there and cuts it, that the fee would go back, well, the homeowner should be billed for it. And actually, in this case, you may not find the homeowner, but when the property is sold, then the township can get its money back. But there should be some sort of policy, because I don't think any one of you would want to live across the street from where I'm living right now and look at this for over 2 years now.
Charlie, I have all the records from the DPW as to the times that they've cut it. We haven't billed the bank yet for this. This isn't something that.
You are gonna build them?
Well, it's eventually gonna happen. because
I
it's been
think
2 years now.
we need to,
But you should have a policy in
Yeah.
place.
Well, we do.
I mean, I'm sure I'm not the only one.
No.
I'm sure there's other places in town that people maybe
The
don't
other
care or whatever.
places, I've had pretty much 100% compliance for my letters. Because I've personally gone out and checked.
Oh, that's good that you do, Kim. But is there
Well, for the
something that
ordinance, I'm
says
the
what
one
you
that's
do?
supposed to do it.
Is there something that says what you do? Is there a regulation? Is there a
I can give you a
procedure?
copy of the property maintenance ordinance.
What?
I can give you a copy of the property maintenance
I'm
ordinance.
just asking, I don't
No,
want to
it's all provided for in
It
the
shows I have
ordinance. The
to
biggest
write
issue is because we don't have a lot of
letters,
bodies around here, is knowing about it. So when whenever we hear about it from a resident or whatever, then Kim takes action.
Don't you think it would be a good idea for the police department while they're riding around, if they see something like this, to report it?
most of these properties, Charlie, are in legal limbo. You know, they're under foreclosure, but the foreclosure hasn't been completed.
Right.
The bank,
So the owner really
the
owns
owner
it,
is over the hill somewhere, he's taken off a lot of times.
but the bank doesn't own
The
it.
bank has not yet completed the foreclosure process.
But they do have a meeting.
There's a lot of legal maneuvering that's going on now, and that's delayed a lot of these foreclosures. So nobody really owns, nobody's really minding the store. So
Okay, but.
the most that the town can do is, if it's really a really bad situation, they can mow it, they can put a lien against the property, like it becomes part of your taxes. And that's what they do.
But I'm asking, is that actually in writing somewhere what is done?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, there's I don't
She
think so.
just offered to give you the ordinance, and
It's
you
in
said
writing.
you
No,
didn't
the
want it.
ordinance reads
in
that it has to be at
writing,
least less than 6 inches. But I don't think there's a procedure for what happens if you don't.
Yes, there is procedure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
there
right,
is a
never mind.
procedure.
Then it's not being followed.
We haven't placed the lien on the property yet. That's the
Oh,
only thing
okay.
that we haven't done.
Joe Maxey, 602 South Main Street, also the fire chief. As I heard you did something with door for an office and stuff, let's take into account here if we're gonna put a split door in there. And the town clerk knows what I'm gonna say, follow
Yeah.
fire code. That wooden door on her office is not up to code.
Nope.
And we don't have no fire suppression system in this building, we only have a fire alarm. And we make the laws, we gotta follow the laws.
I was
Follow
hoping you guys could
the
actually
fire
make
code.
the door.
No. There's
Can you
certain
give me
type
a
of
rough-
door that has to be there, I understand. That wooden door would not be secure enough if you're talking about the money that she's handling.
Yeah.
I could kick it in. I can get in that metal door with the fire training, but I won't tell you how. But follow the codes.
Can we put something over the wooden door, Joe, to make it?
No. There's certain wooden doors that will meet fire code.
There are certain ones.
Yes.
Okay.
And I don't know, you heard $900. You're
We put
Probably
1200
not,
in, yeah, it's not gonna be enough now.
an eighth of the
Yeah.
eighth.
It's not gonna be enough.
Fire
You might have to
doors
amend the
are,
ordinance.
they're required. You're in a public building. But it needs to be done.
So you're saying
yeah.
Kim's door needs to be changed out as well?
It probably should. It's not up
I'm
to
not
code.
sure. How long have I had that door?
I don't know.
Years.
I told you today it was
About
done,
5 years,
that it
yeah.
wasn't up to
But he
code.
didn't tell me.
Yeah.
He told you.
What was hanging?
That's all I have.
Thanks, Joe.
Anyone else?
I did.
Seeing none, need a motion to close?
Make a motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have one more comment I'd like to put on the record. In signing these bills, I just found out that Vince Wayne had a check in my file, in the amount of $42,000. $42,685, there was a voucher to be paid to Mr. Wayne for the full amount, which we decided today, which our attorney told us should only be $8,531.30. There was a voucher to be paid in the amount of $42,685. So I pulled it out and gave it back. I want that on the record.
It has to be removed from the bills list.
Okay.
What happened was that Eloise signed off that that's the amount that should be returned. She turned it over to Sharon. Sharon prepared the voucher and it was in for payment this evening. So there's a mix-up between who decides how much gets refunded to these people. I think that Eloise needs to be instructed to contact Stuart Koenig, obviously, because that's the ultimate
She should
authority
not,
on
yeah,
this
she should not
subject.
refund any fees without
That's correct.
checking with our special counsel.
So we will put a procedure in place that any refunds for, well, first of all, in my opinion, any refund for anything, the way we do it in taxes, we do a resolution to refund money. So this should have been done as a resolution. It should not have just been turned over to Sharon as a voucher to be paid.
And at what point, I guess one thing I would like to get on the record as well, at what point during the year should medical be paid, medical costs be paid? When committee members are taking health care and they're planning to reimburse the town, at what point in the year should that occur?
I have no idea what,
You have no idea what I'm asking, or?
well, I think that's,
Well,
That's
there's
my
only,
prerogative,
there's
Jenny.
2 committee people, well,
That's my prerogative, too.
When to pay?
Mr. Williams pays his monthly for his dependents, and so far that's the only thing I have. Elaine hasn't paid yet for this year.
I want that, I just want to go on record with that.
That's my prerogative, Tanya. I pay this township and have every year since I've been receiving medical benefits, please. Why? Because I've got a $42,000 error? Please.
Well, Elaine, we don't want to get into
Please, yes, don't get
errors,
into it.
do we?
Yes, no.
No, I don't
You-
think so,
you
because
wanna
we
get
don't
into
make any errors,
No, and
Elaine.
neither do you, Tanya.
Of course not.
That's
Okay,
right. You're
so,
correct.
so we need a motion to go into executive session for personnel,
Personnel and contract
contract
negotiation.
negotiation. I need that motion.
Motion.
Second.
Miliani? Yes, Williams?
Yes.
Perez?
Yes.
Greenwich? Yes. Siegel?
Yes.